Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of the Stocks Watch. Today we'll be going through a few things such as the market recap with respect to GDP, S&P 500, Nasdaq, Dow Jones Industrial Average, and a couple of cryptocurrencies. Then we'll look into Tesla as a company, what it does, what are its products, some of its moat, fundamental and technical analysis of the charts, and the balance sheet review. After this, we'll be going through a newsroom where we look into news specific to Tesla stock and the stock market in general, followed by a sentiment analysis and meme review to understand what people like you and me are thinking about this particular stock in the market. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer that this is not investment advice and you should do your own research. Thank you. Let's get started with the market recap. First, we'll check out the GDP. It stands for Gross Domestic Product. And as it states, it's a monetary measure of the market value of both goods and services for a particular region. So when we check out the list, obviously United States and China, they occupy the number 1, number 2 position. There was a slight growth year over year from 2019 to 20. However, it's expected that this quadrant specific, we will be seeing a lot of pullback with respect to US. This is a good measure to understand the market cap and investment opportunities in a particular market and future growth. Next, another important factor to keep in mind is the unemployment rate currently running in the US. This is hugely going to have an impact on the service sector and will directly have an impact on GDP itself. So these numbers, as you can see, it took a long time to bring them down and all of a sudden suddenly shot up, but hopefully very soon things will get back to normal. Next, we'll take a look at the S&P 500. Again, S&P 500 is an index which constitutes of the 500 biggest companies in the US stock market. And it's a very good measure and often recommended by Warren Buffett as well, because the way it works is constantly the weak companies are flushed out and the top 500 companies are always a part of this index. So you're getting the best of the market. Let's take a look at the charts. So when we take a look at the chart for S&P 500, we can see that it's up over 4% over the last 1 year. And when we take a look at year-to-date value, you can see that it's down almost 9%. This is when the pandemic burst out and when we had the huge stock market crash. But since then, the recovery has been pretty good. So when we try to look at the trend over the last 1 month, again, it's set an uptrend, and over the last 5 days, it almost ended pretty much where it started, from beginning of the week to the end. This week, we could expect it to breach over 3,000. We have to wait and see. We saw the charts for S&P 500, and now we'll quickly try to cover the other three. So we talk about Nasdaq Composite, and again, this is constituted of the largest companies listed on the stock market. Market cap comes close to $10 trillion, so that says the type of companies that come here. Nasdaq Composite has climbed 3.4% over the last week, so even that is in an uptrend. When we talk about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, again, is a compilation of a few big companies of the US. We'll look into the list in the future. The market cap comes close to $8.33 trillion, as we can see, and this is as of December 2019. The Dow Jones, it has gained close to 800 points, or you could say almost 3.5% over the last 1 week, again in an uptrend. When we take a look at the Bitcoin and Ethereum, these are the two largest cryptocurrency market by far, and as you can see, it has a combined market cap of more than $180 billion. Over the last 24 hours, of course, it has been in a downtrend. We know that Bitcoin recently had its halving, so maybe we are having a correction and a pullback where the current price is around 8,500. Even Ethereum is supposed to go, or it's expected to go down in the coming weeks and days, so I guess I should wait and see how it plays out. Next, we will be talking about Tesla as a company, and we'll try to take a deeper look into it. Tesla by far is one of my favorite companies because there's always a lot of innovation and disruption happening there. When we try to take a deeper look at the company, you can see that it was started in 2003, so it's been around for a while. And the most notable person associated with this company has to be Elon Musk. As far as the facilities go, we know that they have a few factories which are already up and running, like the Giga Nevada, New York, and Shanghai. The Giga Berlin is supposed to be constructed by the end of this year, and hopefully production starts next year. To talk about some of the products which Tesla offers is Model S, X, Y, and soon to come Roadster and Cybertruck, including a Tesla Semi. But the sleeping giant, in my opinion, for this has to be Tesla Solar Roof and solar panels. When we speak of the company moat, we know that Tesla's full self-driving capability is much ahead of any competition. And so far, because of the technology which Tesla implements, they have to collect data to train their machine learning models, and they have close to 3 billion plus miles. The closest competition, I think they have less than 15 million miles. So there's clear lead. Obviously, there's a very deep-rooted investor sentiment, just like how we see it in Apple, and we'll be seeing more about this when we look at the sentiment analysis section. And of course, Elon Musk, because this guy is a magician when it comes to raising capital or leading an industry disruption. There have been a few acquisitions by Tesla. The two most noteworthy companies out of this, in my opinion, has to be SolarCity and Maxwell Technology. We have tried to see, or at least try to show, the potential market opportunity which Tesla might have in the future. Not necessarily meaning that they will be going after this entire thing. But automotive industry has close to 2 trillion. Freight industry, 700 billion. This is just in the US for 2017. Our ride-sharing market is obviously going up and up, and robotaxi might just disrupt this even more. And the energy sector. We will be talking about these things in detail in another time, but for now, let's try to look at Tesla charts. So the ticker symbol for Tesla is TSLA, and as you can see, the current market cap for this is $150 billion. I wouldn't be surprised if this is 3 or 4 times as this much in the next 5 to 10 years, and that's an easy target in my opinion. When we take a look at the 52-week highs and lows, you can see an incredible range here indicating that the Tesla stock is pretty volatile. So as an investor in Tesla, you need to brace yourself for volatility, that's for sure. Now, when we try to look at the charts, ever since its inception, or ever since its IPO, you can see that since the last recession, Tesla stock has had an amazing growth. Even though there were long periods of what seems to be like stagnation, we just know that the longer the horizontal line, the greater the vertical burst. So this is good news. Now we'll come closer and try to look at more recent data. So we know that in December, we started to see the surge, started to see the breakout finally for Tesla. And because of the situation which happened in March, because the entire market came down, so did the Tesla stock. Now, again, it's back to its or very close to its all-time high, and this is one of the very few stocks which has held its own during the current situation. There are a few key indicators which I prefer to look at. Let me just pull that out. First is obviously the 50-day moving average. Second one is 100-day moving average. Final one is going to be a 20-day moving average. Alright, let's go with this. So the point I'm trying to make here is, firstly, to tell a little bit about moving averages. These help smoothen the curve, or smoothen the stock market, and remove all the noise. So in an uptrend, your moving average acts as a support, and in a downtrend, your moving average acts as a resistance. So for the last 6 months, we can see that the Tesla stock pretty much has been in an uptrend, except for this particular duration. So we'll come back to the last 1 month, and we can see that almost on every day except for the 20-day moving average, Tesla stock has been way above its support levels. So this is a good indicator. So even though there will be a slight pullback based on the 50-day and the 100-day support levels, this is not a bad number considering where the Tesla stock was valued in the 52-week low last year. So all in all, this looks like uh, it's always a good time to invest in Tesla as long as you're a long-term investor. But we will talk more about this when we look at the news and the balance sheet next.
Balance sheets give us a summary of everything and anything a company owns or owes at a given point of time. Now on the screen you can see the balance sheet of Tesla. The total assets, as we can see from the column here, of Tesla for the quarter ending on the 31st of March 2020 amounts to $37,250 million. This represents a significant increase of 8.57% from the figures that were reported for the previous quarter. Now coming to the cash on hand that Tesla has when on its account books, we can clearly see from the balance sheet that Tesla has a massive cash reserve of $8,273 million. Now coming to the total liabilities, as we can see from the figure here, the total liabilities of Tesla amount to $26,578 million, of which $9,173 million is held as shareholders' equity. Current ratio provides a way to connect both sides of the balance sheet, that is the asset side and liability side. It looks at the current assets versus the current liabilities. Current assets are those which are cash already or are likely to become cash within the upcoming 12 months. Current liabilities are those which need to be paid in cash within the 12 months. If the current ratio is high, it means the company has high liquidity and has therefore greater leverage to repay its debts. Now, as we can see from the balance sheet, Tesla's current ratio for the quarter ending on 31st March 2020 comes out to 1.24. This is reasonably good, as it means Tesla has 1.24 times more current assets than liabilities to pay off its debts.
Now, let's try and take a look at the newsroom and news related to Tesla and stock market in general. Green Technica reports that Tesla almost has close to 29% of the global EV market in Q1 of 2020. Now, in the race for the global supremacy, Tesla actually dominates the North American market, whereas Volkswagen has steady grip over the European market. However, China is poised to come out as a key player here, with Tesla already having its facilities there and ramping up production. Now, even with Giga Berlin coming in this year or potentially next year, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. According to the Wall Street Journal, because Tesla's production is restarting, its sales are expected to shoot up in the coming months. And if at all Tesla does manage to post a surprise Q2 profit, it would very well indicate that the company will be included in the S&P 500. Again, this will be a massive achievement for Tesla and Elon Musk. Now, for the final report, it says, and this is according to Bay Hill, who are predicting Tesla's stock price to go over $1,000 because of the upcoming battery day in next month. People don't know how say that Musk could very well have come up with a very new technology with low-cost batteries designed to last for more than 1 million miles. Now let's take a look at the global market. Oil dips as US-China tensions add to nerves on global economy. According to Bloomberg, because of the tension between US and China claiming that some people in the US are pushing towards a cold war between US and China, this could turn out to be ugly. We are just coming off of a historic crash for the oil stock market, and the futures are down 0.4% as of now. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Another important development is in European side, Lufthansa and German government agree for a 9.8 billion rescue package. Again, according to Bloomberg, the aid package involves taking an initial 20% stake that could rise to blockage minority of 25% plus one share in the event of a hostile takeover. This is the statement given by Lufthansa. So they are having backup options and probably will not go bankrupt, but at the same time, this indicates towards becoming a zombie company. To wrap this up, US stock futures up slightly amid growing tensions with China. Now, this is something we'll have to carefully monitor, depending on how this develops in the upcoming days. Sure to have an impact on the stock market. Now, let's try to go over the sentiment analysis and the meme review. So the entire intention of this segment is to understand what people like you and me are thinking and commenting out loud about stock market in general. I'll hopefully come across a few funny memes as well. Let's try to take a look at them. Obviously, this is a compilation of some of the statements or comments we thought indicate or align with our investment strategy with respect to Tesla. Of course, we don't know if these are experts or if it's just some fake account posting some comments, but these are some interesting comments. One of my favorite is this one. It says, "I'm so excited to be driven by a robotaxi for the first time." So am I. Alright, so as you can see, in general, the sentiment is pretty strong. Here's the investment sentiment I was talking about, which makes it very similar to Apple. And another person also says something similar to it. Tesla basically is an iPhone on wheels rather than just being a car. I'm not sure about this statement yet, not in the near future, but yeah, bound to happen. So much positive news this weekend, indeed. Alright, hopefully. Another significant thing we saw over the last few days was that the full self-driving capacity is coming up, it's coming to scale, and turns out it could be a bit expensive. Prices will constantly be increased. We'll have to see what happens in terms of the pricing, but I'm pretty sure the technology will be worth it. Now let's try to look at the meme review. Firstly, shout out to our friends at Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. The respective handles are provided here. Please do go and support and follow them. At Robinhood memes, at Finance Hardo, at Stock Market memes. It's a pretty fire. Let's get started, and this segment is going to be silent for this version. This is my favorite. In any case, that concludes the first ever episode of the Stocks Watch. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Please like the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for newer and better videos in the near future. Thanks again. Stay safe, everyone.